All right, so Sony unveiled a new camera today. And I gotta say, like, first impressions, it look fire. But once you dig a little deep into it, for that price point at $750, So what's going on, y'all? Today we're gonna start our first episode of What the Frame. And What the Frame, we're gonna be sitting here discussing mainly about camera rumors, camera stuff, like the Canon R5, the Sony ZV-1. Any camera related news is gonna be part of this series called What the Frame. If that sounds like something that interests you, man, make sure you sub to the channel. Then follow me on IG and Twitter at Brookssmedia for exclusive BTS footage. Let's go and get into the video though. So, I took notes. So Sony unveiled the new camera today, or well, yesterday, depending on when I drop this video. It's probably gonna be yesterday time. But this is a camera that people have been waiting for, anticipating. Some people, not all. Yeah, definitely not all, because I didn't ask for this camera. But it's been like a vlogger's camera because they've been sitting here taking into consideration for all the times they done flew these creators out and had them ride horses to give their feedback. They finally created the perfect camera for the vlogger, quote unquote. So let's go over what the camera's gonna be offering, and then we're gonna go over the price point as well. The Sony ZV-1 is gonna cost right now, early bird special, $750. I think after that goes up to like 800. All right, so remember that. So 750 or 800 bucks. We're just gonna say 800 bucks, okay? Got that, cool. Check this out. This camera's gonna come with the 24-70 focal length equivalent with the f1.8 to f2.8 variable aperture. So for those who don't know what that means, and even focal length equivalent, this sensor is smaller than a full frame sensor. So a 24-70, they're just letting you know what the equivalent of this focal length is if it was compared to something like full frame. And then the variable aperture is, so pretty much the lowest f-stop is gonna be f1.8, and then when you zoom in, 9 times 10 is gonna go to like f2.8. So you still got like, it should still be pretty okay in low light. You're gonna be able to do 20 megapixel stills with this camera, and it also shoots 4K video. Okay, all right, Sony, you still rocking. All right, cool. Now it has this really dope option that I think a lot of people are gonna take advantage of. And that option is like the product showcase feature, where pretty much, you know, in most cases with cameras now, when you put the product in front of your face, just like so. That was pretty quick, but I kind of dialed the settings in on my camera. Now, even though I have the settings fine-tuned in my GH5, what usually typically happens is when you sit there and try to, you know, hold a product to the lens, what happens is that I have a hard time because it's still trying to focus on your face, and it take a longer time to pretty much focus on a product. But from what I've seen from the ZV-1, it's like instant. The moment you put with this option, the moment you put the product onto the lens, it's like, boom, it's literally that instant. Next, they got eye autofocus in video. Fire, have no complaints there. It also now the feature that I'm really feeling is the automatic exposure for the face. So pretty much like right now, if I was sitting here and it's pretty much like bright on my face, it would expose my face. So if I had to make the background dark or the background brighter to make sure that I'm always exposed, that feature is baked into the camera. So I think that's a feature for any vlogger. That's something dope to have. You're also gonna have a background defocus. Now that's built into the camera, so what that pretty much means is it's dropping down to the lowest f1. It's dropping down to f1.8 to give you a better shallow depth of field, to make everything look like it's all creamy and stuff in the background. Take that with a grain of salt though. Don't, you know what I mean? You know, take that with a grain of salt. It looks cool, but yeah, take that with a grain of salt. Next is actually gonna have the picture profiles from what you get from most Sony flagship cameras. So you're gonna have, I think I said flagship. From flagship cameras, you're gonna have the HLGs, the picture, the Cine Ds, the S-Log, even S-Log. You're gonna have that in the camera as well. So I think that's fire too. And the last two things that I think this camera is like really bringing some heat with, the fact it's gonna have built-in ND filters. I think like 3 of them. And then you're also gonna have up to 960 frames per second in slow-mo. Now this is in bursts. It's not the full thing, it's in bursts, but still nonetheless though, that's, you know what I'm saying, that's pretty dope if you wanna go ahead and kind of spice up your vlogging video. So, if this camera is just, you know, now with all the things that I've said, with all the bells and whistles that it has, if this camera is like, you know, from the sounds of it, so amazing, why can I recommend this camera? And honestly, it's based off the price point, sensor size, and the actual look, which is actually, you know what I'm saying, correlating with the sensor size. But 800 bucks, nah fam, nah Sony. I don't know what y'all thought be like. So here's my gripe with this camera. From what I've seen from the footage looks like just cell phone footage. Like, it's a 1-inch sensor, and if I'm not mistaken, some of these, you know, cameras and cell phones, like even like the Sony Xperia Z1 has like a 1-inch. I think it has a sensor that's bigger than what's in the Sony ZV-1. And it's like, well, you know, the quality, like, it looks cool. If you just, somebody who's just on social media for like Instagram and Facebook, and you just want to vlog, even for YouTube, I think this camera is like good for that, like for quality wise. But again, for 800 bucks, there's so many other cameras that offer you a lot more for a cheaper price. You know, and when I say a lot more, I mean like the actual fact that you're gonna get a bigger sensor, better low light, lens, being able to interchangeable lenses, and sometimes you'll actually get an actual touch screen. Now, even though Sony has a fully articulating screen on this camera, you still can't touch it. So it's just like you still have to use the dials to get certain function. I just think that's crazy. Like, Sony, you make cell phones that has touch screens. Take that same technology and put it onto your cameras. Like, baby, it's not rocket science we're asking for here, fam. Like, come on. Now, when we talking about these other cameras, for 800 bucks, there are cameras that's like $300, $400, even $500, $600. That was on the G7. I got this for 250 bucks, and I can interchange the lens. It has a bigger sensor, better low light, a touch screen, a viewfinder. I can actually take a real photo. Custom dial settings, burst mode, 6K photos, and it's a light as well. Fully articulating flip screen, built-in flash. I want to take a picture. I mean, again, I bought this for $250. Like, I can name at least 6 cameras right now out the gate that offers something at a better price point than what the Sony ZV-1 is offering. And it goes the Canon M50, the A6100, Canon SL3, Lumix G85, Lumix G7, your cell phone. Your cell phone, I think, is a better option than the ZV-1 for you to spend 750 to 800 bucks on this camera, and you can't even change the lenses. I mean, listen, I get where they were going and who they were targeting this camera for, but realistically, it just doesn't make sense for anybody to buy this camera when there are a lot of better options out there for you, and with great autofocus. And at any point in time when you feel like, yo, you're ready to step up to the plate and kind of take on more professional jobs, or maybe you want to do an interview and you want to have something a little bit more professional in your pocket, you can get you a Sony A6100 for like 700 bucks. And that comes with the lens. And at any point in time you want to upgrade that camera or go to a full frame or a cinema camera, you can use that same lens and apply it to those new cameras that you're gonna buy on that Sony lineup. Well, versus with the Sony ZV-1, when you invest into this, like, it's, you know, that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand why you would spend that much money on a pocket-sized camera that lacks compared to cameras that's way cheaper, like, and with better features in it. So for me, personally, I cannot recommend for any of you guys that's following me right now, for anybody for that matter, to get the Sony ZV-1, because it does not offer, to me, an adequate bang for your buck. So I know what people are saying, well, this camera is not really geared towards the professional, it's geared towards the vlogger. And vloggers and all vloggers are just not professionals. But at the same token too, they don't have to sit there and spend 800 bucks on a camera that's less inferior. That's how I feel. Like, I feel that the ZV-1 is a less inferior camera compared to what you can buy. And honestly, if you're just vlogging, then it sticks to a cell phone. The 4K iPhone, the iPhone footage, the 4K that you on the iPhone looks phenomenal. Trust me, you'll see it soon. I would rather you just use your phone than sit there and spend money on that. At least with the phone, you can touch it to get the settings. You can't even do that on the Sony ZV-1. The touchscreen don't work. But nonetheless, though, I'm really, really curious. For those who are looking for a camera, I think I even had somebody, you know, I had one particular person who was looking for a camera between like the X-T4 and the GH5 video. If you haven't seen that, make sure I link that up here. You know, I couldn't even recommend this camera to her. You know what I'm saying? This is just not it. This is not the camera we was asking for, Sony. I get where you're going. If this camera was cheaper, then yes. But at this price point, nah, I can't roll with it. Let me know what y'all think in the comments, man. It's your boy Sean Brooks, man. I'm out. Deuces.